Hey everybody, it is me, Pacific, and I'm in the dark this morning because, yeah, bedhead. Oh, is it bad this morning? Oh my gosh. So, I'm happy to report to you that one of my trolls that made a whole lot of videos about me, he's removed them all. That's really cool. I did some looking just to see what all my fun friends and fans out there were putting together about me, and one of them took every one of his videos down and is finally focusing on something else other than me, though it's more reasons to be MGTOW. But at least I'll give him credit. He's trying to be more constructive. Wasting his time picking at me is stupid. My channel continues to grow in spite of myself, in spite of my confessions. I try to drive off all of my viewers and I can't seem to do it. I'm just kidding, but I just thought I'd throw that in for fun. This channel is not like any other. How many people would have a pair to get on YouTube and be so blatantly honest? Well, let me tell you what the trolls would say. A retard and a loser like you. Anybody that would be a train wreck and put all his stuff out here has really got a problem. I do have a problem, and that's why I'm on YouTube, because this is what I call therapeutic. You know, I find it interesting that some of the people that I have met on YouTube are normal functioning adults from around the world that really think I'm okay. Hey, doesn't that sound like the book, I'm okay, you're okay? People are interesting. But I have a wood tick that has burrowed deep into my skin. You guys know what wood ticks are, right? A wood tick gets into your skin and burrows in, and it's very hard to get it out. They recommend you put butter on it, or if you're really bold and daring, you light a match and touch the match right up to its butt end, and it'll back out. Whenever I did a hike in the Minnesota woods, one of my friends at the time, we'd go hiking and spending days, says, when you go home, take off all your clothes and check your whole body in the mirror, everything, because these things will get into you and you can't feel them or see them. And of course, with all the Lyme disease. So, I have a wood tick that's burrowed in hard. And this morning, I open my email and I get this message. There's passion, just not for a chemo like you. I'm like, chemo? That's got to be derogatory. Let's look that up. Calling me a child molester or somebody who has an interest in much younger women. Of course, I did my video passion, and then I did subjects on dating and stuff like that. Western women have a problem with older men being attracted to younger women. But, you want to know the irony of this? This person who wrote this is considerably younger than me herself, and she's the one that responded to my dating profile on Craigslist. So, what does that say about her? I forwarded this thing to Maharani, and Maharani said, you know, you're dealing with a true head case. She claims to be a teacher, she claims to be so superior to you, but she engages, and she said, I think she's just mad because she couldn't get a date with you, and she's just going to let you have it. Women always have to have the last word. I don't know. But can I say something, viewers? It still hurts. It's fun to be a DJ personality and say, oh, none of this stuff affects me. I'm bulletproof. I only wish. People are mean, and I've experienced this most of my life. This video is dedicated to people that feel like they just don't feel or fit into mainstream and have been mocked and teased, because it is real. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names do hurt. And it doesn't matter who's saying it. The devil knows how to go right for the jugular into our self-esteem and just grab us. I want to say something about that. When Pacific has talked about overweight women and women that I do not find attractive, I have not tried to be mean-spirited. I recognize that in every single one of us, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And somebody may not be attractive to us. I would never go up to another individual. Oh, I'm sorry. There's passion, just not for a goofy-looking chimo like you. That's what she said. I've never walked up to an overweight woman and said, man, you're fat, you're disgusting, you're gross. I've never done that. I wouldn't do that. To say those kinds of things to somebody's face is just wrong. What I talk about on my videos is the attitude that has risen over the years, the ego, the attitude, the I'm all that in a bag of chips mentality. Then something inside of me, and you all too, kicks in and says, wow, you got an attitude towards me? Have you ever looked in the mirror? I mean, it's human nature, right? But my curiosity in this is, why is she attacking my looks, but yet she got on my date profile? So an analysis is in order. She never did have an intention of dating me anyway. So it was another girl playing the online dating game. I'm going to show all my pictures, some of them with one with a shirt off, several in skimpy shirts, and I'm going to get him all wound up for me, but I ain't going to go out with this dork. How come women who call themselves Christians do this stuff? I remember when I first got on the online dating scene, I had written a woman. Every single picture was in total inappropriate two-piece bathing suits, and I mean everything was showing. I admit, she was hot. Hot white girl, brunette, tan skin, gorgeous. I read her profile. I want a godly man. I'm sick of so many men aren't godly, and rambling on and on about a man who's committed to God, committed to prayer, committed to the Word. And I wrote her back and I said, dear ma'am, I'm amazed at your profile and how self-righteous you are coming across, and yet every single photo of you, none of them is clothed modestly. All of them were different poses in her bikinis, two-piece, leaning over, showing everything. I thought, are you serious? Do you know how many Christian profile ads I've seen like that? And I want to say something. Because I'm human, how do I say this? Because I'm human, of course I notice good looking. And I still believe that a Christian woman should dress modestly. To not do that is to be a stumbling block to us men. And a lot of women who don't have spiritual maturity don't look at that. They don't stop and think, hey, you know, am I dressing in a way that's pleasing to God? They don't. Everybody knows Venus Star's position, and she's right on. Women that are dressing like that are doing it to get attention. There's no other way around it. But when a woman writes me and gets on my profile and plays the victim about all the bad experience she had with some guy that overpowered her, gives me not one favorable compliment to me, and then a year later this stuff goes on and on and on, and I sit here and think, what did you get on my profile for? It just confirms the Fox News study that girls, and it said this, girls are playing games on dating sites. They want to bolster their ego. They want to have any guy tell them, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so worthy, and then they'll trot off with the compliment and say, thank you, but no, you haven't earned my approval to date me. All that talk of, I was going to buy you a nice dinner, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, right. I want to say something to my viewers because it needs to be said. I have been criticized all my life, even currently, about my looks. I get it through a plethora of faceless and nameless trolls out there that say you're retarded, the thick glasses, you look like a dark geek nerd. And I sit there and think, my gosh, everything inside of me is anything but that. It's interesting. People in our culture have no class whatsoever. I have decided not to respond in writing anymore to this woman. Something is wrong with her. School teacher, public educator, working with 6 to 10-year-olds, is doing the same thing that children do on a playground. She doesn't want to meet me. She doesn't want to reconcile. She doesn't want to do anything but be a troll. She'll never show her face. We don't even know if she really exists or if it's just some overweight heifer that's hiding behind a computer. We don't know. Anybody can send pictures. People get the advantage of seeing and hearing me on the video forum of my channel. And there was somebody else who did this. Somebody who is writing regular. And I'm going to say something because it is in my heart, and it's been in my heart, and I avoided saying this, but I'm going to say it. There was somebody I was writing to faithfully. I liked her. Asked for phone number. And I asked for phone number because I genuinely wanted to talk to her. But then I couldn't get it. And then later on, it was told to me, well, I don't want to give out this number because I'm interested in a guy. Okay. But yet this person wrote me and said, if I came to the U.S., would you marry me? That's all I'm going to say on that. And that person openly also flirted with me, knowing that I had an interest in Maharani. And I had shared all that with Maharani. Why do women do this stuff? Why did they tease us, lead us on, do this stuff? And it took a simple comment. Somebody wrote me and said, have you gotten voice verification from this person? And I thought, no, I never have. Interesting. I will tell you, yes, there's a lot of male trolls on here, but men are less likely to play games than women. I hear women write saying, I'm tired of all the players in the games, and I find that, why is it I find women are more the players and the game players than anybody else? If you think that I look like a dork or goofy looking, why did you get on my post? What was your intent? Did you see all my pictures in Hong Kong and think, ooh, he must have money? Maybe that was more like it. Maybe that was really more like it. I will never know. I will never understand. In 48 years, I've always thought I'm getting closer to understanding women, and I am getting closer, but there is a mystery there that us men will never be able to fully comprehend. They were talking about how to keep your relationship alive. It was saying respect the differences. And that always works until there's conflict. It's not an easy thing to do. And I recognize that in us men, a lot of us look at a lot of women and shake our heads and go, brother. Their obsession with materialism, their need to buy 55 purses and 3,000 pairs of shoes. None of us males can ever make sense of that. None of us. People are rude. People are mean. But one guy had enough sense to realize that he wasn't going anywhere with video after video saying why Pacific Ocean Asia's this, that, or the other. And even Pandora has quit because they're not going anywhere. I want to say something, though, I understand why men would want to go their own way. I understand why many men have flat out confessed to me, hey, Pacific, I'm sorry to be crude, but I'm more comfortable looking at pornography because those women can't get all emotional and sue me in court, and I'm just content with that. I talked to a friend of mine from Mammoth Elementary School. We've been friends since the 5th grade. He's a truck driver. He was rolling through Aurora yesterday and called me on his way to Littleton and then up to Fort Collins and then back over to somewhere in Utah. And we talked openly about some of these men issues. He said, you know, and he's a big guy, big. When he came up to Spokane in the summer of 2011, I hadn't seen him since I left Mammoth as a sophomore. I was like, wow. We went to an Asian buffet. We drove around talking, reliving the old days of Mammoth life and talking about the people we knew and where they're at now and talking about the way the world's changed. And he's not a Christian. He told me yesterday, he said, I just really wish that God would show me something if he really is. And I told him about some of my struggles. I opened up to him about some things that I've opened up on YouTube about that I hadn't shared with him. And he said, you know, he said, I don't think you're a hypocrite at all. He said, because you're not pretending to be something. I said, yeah, but I go to church, and I don't go to church to put on an act, but I go to church because I need that grounding. He says, but Pacific, there's a difference between you and people who go to church and act all self-righteous on Sunday and live like the devil the rest of the week. He says, I've seen a bunch of that all my life. He says, I've never seen that in you. We talked about women. We talked about his life on the road. Lonely as all get out. Anybody remember BJ and the Bear? I used to think that was such a cool show, but really all it did was glorify a single man on the road with a bunch of hot-looking women. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but if you look at most truck drivers and the kind of women that were on BJ and the Bear, you won't see those kind of women with truckers. BJ and the Bear romanticized the trucking industry, and it was a real disappointment to me when I got older that the trucking industry was a very lonely, sleazy life. A lot of men that aren't married, a lot of men alone in a truck and stopping at truck stops with lot lizards and skanky women coming around saying, you want something? You need anything? It's funny how when we're a kid we have these starry-eyed visions. I'm going to be a spaceman. I'm going to be a fireman. And now today, I remember when I was in Virginia, Minnesota, we stopped in a bookstore downtown, and this lady started talking to us, and I don't know why. This was when I was married. And she just broke down and said, my husband, we're separated. She said he works for the Virginia Fire Department. He's a freaking cross-dresser. I said, what? I'm thinking of firefighters dressing in women's clothes. That, to me, was the beginning of what we started to see was men, grown men, literally coming apart at the seams in our culture. Then she caught him looking at child porn, and then one day the police came to her house, pulled the computer, everything, arrested him. Oh, wait a minute. That was somebody else. No. She had caught him doing it. But then he deleted everything, and I don't know what he did, but she ended up divorcing him. She said she needed help with the bookstore. And what is interesting, we're seeing men literally lose their minds. My very good friend, I said, thank you for not condemning me. We talked about Hong Kong. I talked about my hurt and angst over Beth, and that failed. And that was my own fault because I saw the red flags. It's funny. It's okay for women to complain about the hurts they've been through, the scars they experienced from other guys, i.e., I was overpowered. I don't want to give out my phone number. I'm not going to move forward. I'm going to live in the past, and I'm going to play the victim. But if a man stands up like I have done and talks about the stuff I've gone through at the hands of women, with mothers, with exes, with coworkers, for some reason, with women like her, that's not allowed. You seriously have problems. How come a male is not allowed and not justified in venting? It's never been allowed in our society. It's always been one-sided. Women can complain until the cows come home about the hurts and wounds and boo-boos they've suffered at the hands of us males. But a man cannot talk about the same that he's suffered at the hands of females. My friend is a down-to-earth guy. We are different people, and yet through all the years, we've managed to be friends. He's the only one, literally from my farthest past, that I still have a connection with. When I went to move from Mammoth, I remember he gave me a little black address book. He'd put his address in it under his last name, and I kept that thing for years. And when it finally got old and dog-eared and started getting brittle and falling apart, I went out and found one exactly like it. And I managed to keep doing that all the way until now. Then all of a sudden, actually, until a couple years ago, and then they started changing it, and I found one as close to like it as I could, because I'm like, man, he gave me that. That's cool. We wrote letters. He went on to become a football player. I went on to become a track star. Then we lost touch for years. And it was through my cousin that we found out how each other was doing. Then he had gotten onto my Facebook when I had that open at the time. But he said, I always thought it was just me. But he said, all the stuff you say about American women, it's always been in me. But I thought, well, maybe there's just something wrong with me. He says, I've dated women. He said, I had relationships. He said, even there's a girl now that said, I'd like to ride with you in your truck, learn how to drive, and hang out with you. And he says, I'm only going to be doing this for another year, and then I'm done. She goes, that's okay. A lot of people would condemn that and say, oh gosh, that's immoral. I'll tell you what. He's just as lonely as anybody else. He doesn't want the drama. He's watched his own sister's behavior. And he says, women are nuts, man. They're just nuts. He's a nice guy. He's not rude. He's not violent. He's a big guy, but he's a total teddy bear. I will say something pointed. People in American society get off on hurting people. And for all the complaining that women do about men and the hurt that has been inflicted on them, women relish hurting men. They enjoy it. They thrive on that. And they thrive on the drama. And then they can run back to their friends. Oh, he made a video about me. Oh my gosh, you ought to see this guy. And women are like hens in a hen house. They all stick together. And somebody innocently pokes their head around that door and they will beat them to death. I'm sorry, but it's true. When I watched the video of that bus driver paraprofessional being attacked verbally, the teenage girls were making the most hurtful, below-the-gut comments. Girls in our country get away with murder. They can walk around with an attitude. And I address it sometimes. I say, wow, I see we got a nice attitude today. I've heard women hiss at me. I've heard women smart off, cuss, call me bitch. I'm like, really? All that just on my bus. Not this year, but in years past, oh yeah. I'm going to say this again. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a man having an interest or feelings for a younger woman. Underage woman? No, that's not right. But there's a bit of hypocrisy there when she's 32 and I'm 48. What did you get on my dating site for if you think I'm ugly and you think I have an inordinate affection towards younger women? What is your deal? And a year later, she's still there. Unfreaking believable. It's finally dawned on me that women like doing this. They like that engagement and they like this ongoing saga, drama. She's not the only one. There's millions of others. There's people that I know, that I respect and like, women that are still going around with a boyfriend they broke up with a year ago. They won't cut him off. They won't ban them from their phone. They'll block them for 3 days and then get curious and unblock them and wait for the offensive text to come in and then call me and say, oh, he's doing it again. I said, block the guy. It's amazing. So when we say we don't need each other, oh, yes, we do, because people sure like to keep going with each other. My ex-wife has managed to do it since 2007. It's been quiet lately. There's been an MO there. When the school year starts, I won't hear from her, but once spring and summer comes, then she'll be at it again. She goes into hibernation, and it'll be at it again. Man, I hope to God in a year I'm not here anymore. That'll end that real quick. Unbelievable. I told Maharani, I want to get close to God, but I struggle with that. I want to say something to my viewers. I want to say something to my Christian and non-Christian viewers because they may be curious about this. And I'm sorry, I think I'm getting the symptoms of a mild cold, so please bear with me. What I don't understand, in 2008 when I got online to meet somebody, I had no idea where that would take me. As you know, it took me halfway across the world. I had been so rigid and uptight. Only listen to classical music. Don't listen to rock. Don't lust. Don't do this. Try to be a faithful husband. Take care of the house. Get your son ready for school. Go work at the school as a teacher's aide and traffic assistant, playground attendant, blah, blah, blah. But inside I was dying. So 2008 comes along. I go to Hong Kong, see a brown-skinned beauty, and all of a sudden I'm seeing Asia, and I'm going, wow, I've really been in a stifled, oppressive, stupid world most of my life. And something came alive in me. Emotions, feelings, and yes, my sense of sensuality that had been long repressed. And of course it went overboard and it went out of bounds sometimes. And then I finally realized, I think I've got a midlife crisis going on. And we talked about this in another video, and I had men saying, thank you for what you said. I'm going through some of this too, and it helps me. A midlife crisis is very real. We joke, we make put-downs about women and menopause and PMS, but that's real stuff. When a woman hits menopause, she can be a roaring biatch for years. Many people, including my uncle, ask me over and over, is Beth going through menopause? I said, I have no idea. I was never able to have the kind of conversations with her that I have with some of my viewers when I should have been able to. She was so explosive and volatile. But a midlife crisis is real. For me, it started when one night in Hibbing, I suddenly had this overwhelming fear that, man, I've spent most of my life for what? Now I'm over 40. I'm not in my 20s anymore. All of a sudden I was aware of my mortality, that I had no retirement, no security, now no house, I'd left a marriage, blah, 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 blah. And I'll tell you what, that hit me so hard. And I was scared. I thought, wow, I don't want to die alone. This world system is tough on us. Got to have a house, got to have IRA, got to worry. And when you don't have any of that, yes, it's easy to say trust in God, and we need to. But the world system doesn't tell us that. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, had to interrupt this program for a commercial break. Why do we talk about these things on YouTube? Is it because my life is a train wreck? To some it may be and seem that way. But let's define train wreck. Just having a job and having popularity and friends and everybody thinks you're special and nobody will ever look into your life and say you have faults? Does that mean you got it together? Heck no. We've got an entire culture of people who have a group of people around them that cannot objectively see the reality of their friends. And what it has done in our society is caused people to believe that, oh, I'm airtight. Let's take Hollywood people. I mean, the evening news makes it look like they're the ones that have arrived. Good-looking bodies, good-looking husbands, or good-looking wives. They're on the silver screen. And yet we read about the trailer trash, outwash that comes right out the back of their lives, and we go, really? But Hollywood in a secular world holds that up. Same with the Christian world. Same with our culture in general. Oh, she's a good-looking woman, she's a teacher, she's got this, she's got that. Yet she's engaged with me for a year, and everything that comes out of her is mean to the core. I have commented on her, but she's just flat out vindictive, hateful, and mean. And she's thriving on this. That's a sign that somebody's not walking with God. That is a sign that somebody's not well. Pacific knows that in some ways he's not well. But Maharani wrote me this morning and said, you've got more emotional strength than I do. I don't know how you face your world. She says, I'm having a hard time over here with the loneliness. I said, I'm so used to being lonely. I don't like it. But I still try to get up and be somewhat happy-go-lucky. Because the thing that I have to tell myself over and over, and I've gotten caught up in the put-downs myself, I don't believe God ever looks at somebody and calls them a dork or a chimo. or a whack job. God judges sin, and he's going to judge it in all of us. Every one of us. Our culture is a put-down culture. Our culture in the last 30 years has really not been a culture that's wanted to lift up and encourage fellow man. Some kids were getting on the bus the other day, and one kid tripped and fell, and I mean he fell hard, and the other boys just laughed, and I looked at them like, whoa, hold it. People are mean. Look at what people watch on TV. Some motorcycle crashing into somebody and the guy's body flying across the pavement, and men will sit there, that's cool. Now that is retarded. I wonder if these idiot males, if that happened to them, would think it's funny as they're sliding across asphalt. I don't get that. I've never understood that. And the accusation's been made about me sometimes that you're too sensitive, and I just come back with, no, you're too calloused. I mean, let's get real here. Our society, culturally, even among Christians, is nowhere near where we're supposed to be. It can't be. When God said there was a curse from the Garden of Eden, it is just quantified since then. And we got churches full of people that are so broken and so messed up. And instead of facing and embracing that, they walk around like they got it going on and shoot their poisonous, toxic darts at everybody else. And that's what it's become. When a Muslim Indonesian woman was kinder to me than a Christian 32-year-old school teacher has ever been since day one of her ranting on my site about all her little boo-boos by boys, it's like, well, gee, tell me that. What does that have to do with me? Why don't you just meet me and wait until something happens before going off the drama express? But women don't do that. They want to make it clear to us men, putting us on edge, putting us on a guarded step-by-step. Oh, man, this woman's been a mess. I don't want to be the next one in line to mess her up. I don't need that head trip. If your boo-boos are so dang fresh, and what are you doing getting on a dating site? Maybe you're not ready for that. Good grief. This woman is dumb, and I can see right through her. And she's got it so together. Why does she say the things that contradict herself every step of the way? She wants attention? I'll give it to her. Just no more written. There's no need to. I wish that woman would have the guts to get on a video with me and show her face. And we could have a round and round. I won't yell and scream. I'll just say, go ahead, say what you want to say to my viewers. Say it all. I got a better idea. I'm still waiting for her to give me the name and address and service time of her church, and I'll just show up there. I'll just shut up. I won't even say anything. Oh, I'll scan the crowd to see if I see her, but I'm not going to go up and seek her out. She can come up to me if she wants to do that. I just want to sit there and see what kind of church she goes to. I bet you she won't do that. I won't even talk to the pastor. I'll just go in there and be polite, watch service, and leave. I'd be curious. For somebody who's all the stuff that she says she is, I have yet to see her pony up and step up to the plate of letting me show up in her world, and let's see what this is all about. Let's see what her foundational base is for her supposed superior Christianity. Viewers, you might go, why do you keep engaging with this? Because there's a reason I do it. You may not always understand it. But when I see people pulling their videos and knocking it off, it's like Pacific is winning this war. He's winning the war because they're quitting. I haven't done a lambasting attack on these people day after day, but I think it's funny. Well, you were so convinced that I'm so this, so that. Why'd you just pull all your videos? But I'm glad. 650,000 views. We're heading towards 2,500 subscriptions. And I think it's interesting that some woman can sit there and call my viewers losers. One's in Ireland or on his way to Ireland right now. Several are going to university. One in the UK, one in Barbados, one in Melbourne. Several work in the medical field. Several work for white-collar jobs. Several are handsome men. Many are handsome men. Many are good-looking women. Many are ordinary, low-income workers like myself. People who've been through stuff. People who, some women on my channel are married and happily married, and they're Christians. No. The only losers that get on my channel are the trolls. Not my faithful fans. And I'm not just saying that because they like me, but the losers are the trolls, the faceless. The little chicken cowards that can't put their picture up there and just blow butt sput out their, keyboard every day. America's full of them. And a 32-year-old woman is no exception. She's the same exact thing. Won't show her face, can't hear her voice. Give me the name of your church, lady, and let me see what kind of teaching you're getting. Let me just see what kind of environment of the church you go to, if you even go to one. Let's start with that. Because I will call her bluff, and I'll call anybody's bluff, and I'll face my enemy face to face. They will not. I thought it was interesting, and I'm going to go off on a rabbit trail. Pastor Sermon really got my attention yesterday. He says, in this age of political correctness, the sermon was titled, The Subject People Don't Want to Talk About. And he talked about hell. He said, we live in a political correct age. He said, even Christians have succumbed to it, that everybody's afraid of offending everybody. And I've noticed that. And yet they're still not afraid of offending Pacific. And in Sunday school class, I learned something that I was like, what? How come I didn't hear this? Did any of you hear about the mayor in Houston a few weeks ago? Demanded that she's a lesbian, a raging lesbian at that. Demanded that every church submit their sermons to her over the last month. She wants to see what they said regarding homosexuality, and if they don't do it, they're in contempt of court. I blurted out in class, I said, is that even legal? And the teacher said, I don't know. I came here and talked to the lady at the house about it. I said, did you hear it? She goes, oh, that's been going on. She said, Huckabee's been talking about it. People have been talking about it. And there's been such an outcry against her, she'll never get anywhere. I said, how can a woman get into the mayor and say that? Two things. I'm going to say something to that mayor. You go ahead and subpoena me, lady. Go ahead and try it from Texas. I still have freedom in Colorado. Honey bunch. Make the honey bunches of oats. When a woman is doing that, that tells me a lot. She is full of hate, full of wrath. She denies two constitutional rights to those churches: freedom of speech, freedom of religion. I'm sorry, but a pastor's sermons do not need to be called on the carpet by a mayor, unless those sermons sort of promote some sort of violence, vandalism against other people or the area, whatever. I'll say it, ma'am, and you can listen to me loud and clear. Homosexuality is a sin. You got a problem with that? Take it up with God. Arrest me, subpoena me. I make my day. These doggone gay, lesbian, and homosexual activists are getting on my nerves. They're the ones promoting the hate. They're the ones promoting the division. They're the ones that are like a little toddler banging their rattle and crying and screaming because they got a dirty diaper and they want everybody to draw attention to them. Well, I'm sorry. If you want to have an illegitimate lifestyle, don't expect the rest of us to give you a big applause. You can have your little gay pride bandwagon parades, but the rest of us aren't interested. Thank you very much. We live in a jacked up society. The pastor in the service went on to say that, and I did some online reading about that whole racket, and area churches said, no, we're not going to submit our sermons to it. Go ahead and tell us we're in contempt of court. And attorneys are getting behind her on this. How stupid is that? The gays want censorship. The gays want us to not be able to say anything that offends them. Well, excuse me, but your gay pride, you're getting married, you're promoting the homosexual lifestyle is offending a lot of us. Are you following the political correct rules yourself? No. But the pastor said that Christians are afraid to share their testimony. And I see that. I've said things right at church in front of other people, and I watch people suddenly go change the subject and talk about the weather, and I'm going, oh, yeah, they're not comfortable with this. Why is that? Let me say it again. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And I see a lot of Christians bound in chains of, uh-oh. There's a difference between being obnoxious, which we got to be careful not to do, and people getting offended at our message. Hold on. I think the dog needs help. Nope. I heard this god-awful scream last night, and I thought somebody had been hit. I was chatting with Maharani. I said, hold on, I got to see what that noise was. Went out, and it was the neighbor lady screaming at the Broncos game. It's like, oh my gosh. She goes, she screamed a murderous scream over a football game? I said, yep. I got to be honest, viewers, forgive me. I'm just not into sports women. I was at the store yesterday, all these women wearing Bronco jerseys, and I thought, gosh, women are doing everything they can in our culture to shed their femininity. I mean, it's almost like they're even rebelling God on that front, too. And it's just something I've noticed. It is true that evangelicals are scared. And I don't understand that. I've been honest about my sins, my faults, my struggles, even to the point where some of my viewers, you did that? What is wrong with you? People aren't used to that kind of transparency. You won't get it from the pulpit. You sure won't get it from politicians. You won't get it from even your closest friends. Everything works good if you're good looking and all your friends don't want to offend you, and that's another thing. You ever notice that girls, good-looking girls, they're not going to have friends that'll look them right in the eye and say, hey, you know what, you got a problem with an ego. They're not going to do that to each other. They're just not. When girls like somebody, that somebody gets a free pass with all of those lady friends. And guys, too. It's very rare. It's just faithful to the wounds of a friend. And it talks about a friend who's willing to confront you and say, and there's times I've had to be confronted by people on my channel, by people that I was close to at one time in my life, and they were right. And I didn't react with a bunch of hate. I said, no, I put my head down and said, no, you're right. And I've also had to do confronting, and I have met nothing but open hostility. There was a guy I worked with at the bus company in Duluth, and he was a wingnut, and he called himself a Christian, and I had other drivers come up to me at the company and said, they mentioned his name, and they told me what he had said and done, and I said, what do you want me to do about it? They said, well, he's claiming to be a Christian, and we know you're a Christian. Do you think you could address this issue? And I'm thinking, I don't want to confront this guy. He's a hothead. I did it. I waited until after church, and we walked out in the parking lot. I stepped away from my wife. I said, hey, can I talk to you a minute? And I said, You may not agree with me, but I want to say something. This is what's coming back across my desk. This is what people are saying to me, and I'm just telling you, you might want to give this some thought. He didn't explode, but he says, well, I don't see things that way. And I said, that's fine. But I do agree with these people that you're out of line in this area. He ignored me for about a week. Had an attitude. And then he came up about a week later and was very kind to me. And he didn't come right out and say, I'm sorry. But he did come out and say, I got to what you're thinking about. And I see some points in what you said. I said, thank you. I respect that. And everything was fine after that. I don't like going up and confronting people. If anybody wants to know the real me, I hate confrontation. I've had confrontation all my life. My mother was combative. My mother was always stirring up trouble. And I hated that friction all the time. When I became a Christian, a boldness entered into me, and I used to be I became a lot more confrontational. Now, as I've gotten older, it's like, I don't want to get into a conflict. But there's still something in me when somebody does something wrong. It's like, no, I'm going to call that out. It's like when all the teenagers were yakking it up in the balcony behind me, I turned around and said, hey, could you guys please stop? I want to hear the preacher preach, and that's just rude. Sometimes we need to overstep our bounds because nobody else is going to do it. And sometimes I don't care if the teenagers suddenly hate me. Who gives a rip? That shows how shallow their Christian walk is. I noticed something, though. I've been sitting up there the last 2 Sundays, and they're all in a row behind me, and they're not talking anymore. Sometimes it takes one person to be the impetus, the spark plug to get the thing going. We have a society that continually backs up. I think every church in America should write that mayor and say, you are over the top, lady. The problem with the gay, lesbian, trannies, all that, they want all their rights and they want to infringe upon ours, and that's not right. The tactics and the things that they're doing prove and give absolute, undeniable proof that their lifestyle is illegitimate in the eyes of God. Why do I say that? A mayor is telling churches they can't talk negatively about homosexuality, and she's demanding every one of their sermons over the last month, every church. And if they don't comply, they're in contempt of court, and the attorneys are behind her. Something to do with somebody was denied the use of a restroom because they were transgender. I didn't even read all that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to say something. More and more businesses have a sign posted, restrooms not for non-customers and all that. I was on a field trip down at the state capitol, parked my bus across from the state capitol Civic Center Park, walked down the 16th Street Mall, I walked into McDonald's, and right away I was confronted with a security guard. I said, I just want to use the bathroom. He says, no. I showed him my badge. I said, I'm a bus driver. I parked around the corner. He started laughing, and he said, you're a school bus driver? I said, here's my key, here's my badge. And he says, all right. He says, I'm sorry, we've had so many excuses. He says, we get all these homeless. They go in there and smoke in the bathroom and shower in the toilet. And I was like, wow, shower in the toilet? Okay. He said, we've had to close the bathroom except to customers only. And we asked you to show a receipt that you made a purchase. But he said, I will let you in the bathroom. I was like, thank you, sir. And the other driver I was with said, man, this is getting ridiculous. I said, I know. In America, everything's being ruined by a bunch of, a couple of bad eggs everywhere you go. Can't use the toilet, can't do this because of somebody's inappropriate behavior. Now this has had a restriction put on it. It's like, good grief. It's funny, outside one of those establishments on the 16th Street Mall years ago, they used to blast classical music. And I used to love that. I'm like, that's awesome. Somebody said, the only reason they're doing that, they're not trying to do it for ambience. They're doing that to keep the bums from leaning up against their building and sleeping around the outside of their building because they hate classical music. And I said, oh my gosh, that's funny. We have a real problem with panhandling, and Just about every wingnut and whack job literally shows up on the 16th Street Mall, including people who want to yell out the gospel and tell everybody they're going to hell, which I just don't agree with that methodology. One day I was walking down the 16th Street Mall back in the 90s, and a woman walking right towards me with nothing but a bra on and a pair of shorts, and I was like, I mean a real girl bra. And I turned all the way around going, wow, she can just walk right through here. Nobody's going to say a dang thing. I'm thinking to myself, now if a man walked down that 16th Street Mall with his pants down, he'd be arrested for indecent exposure, but that woman was given a free pass. Unbelievable. I saw a woman one day walking down there. She had louvers cut in her shorts all the way, had no underwear on. You could see her butt cheeks and everything. And I'm like, do women really think this is fashionable? All the women wearing ripped, stone-bleached, torn-up pants. And I'm thinking, people call me a nerd and a dork, but man, when I do my odd jobs, I have pants that have got holes in them and tears. And I'm thinking, sheesh, I must have not been smart enough. I should have taken my pants, put them on the rack at Macy's, and charged $100 for them. Say, they're stonewashed, all right. Been groveling around at construction sites in the dirt. The world is funny, and the secular world has probably more effect on the Christian church than Jesus Christ has on the Christian church. We're surrounded everywhere we go, music is played. Our culture is pumped out, blasted out, bulldozed in our face. It's very hard for every one of us to not be squeezed into the mold of the world. It's very difficult. It takes discipline. Names hurt, folks. I've endured it all my life. And one of the reasons I talk about things is because there are many people that will have different reactions to my channel. But most of what I get is what I call vitriolic hatred, rudeness, just complete, not, I watch your video and I disagree with you. What I get is, you're severely troubled, you're this. It's the same thing that my mother did. It's the same thing that women do. Bad dog, bad dog, bad dog. Nothing constructive. I remember an incident. I was going to school. My parents were out of town. My grandma and grandpa were there in Mammoth watching us kids. And I opened the door. The cat shot out the door. It was winter, and the cat would do that. And I had to go. And I said, bye, Grandma, I got to go to school. She said, did you let the cat? And I said, no. I said, the cat, I tried, and the cat took off. I said, the cat will be fine. I said, it's done this before, and when it needs to come in, it'll come up to the door, and you'll see it. The slider there. And I remember her stinging remark, you stupid boy. I was in junior high. That cat can freeze to death. I'm thinking, I live here. You live in Lawndale. This cat goes out when there's snowbanks and is climbing around in the snow. I know this cat. I like the cat. I'm not going to kill it. I had a writing relationship for years, long after that, with my grandma. She was kind to me. But that one act, stupid boy, that stuck with me, and it stung. My mother did that. My mother many times compared me to my sister. Now there's a viable thing to do. First of all, Susie's a girl. She was a bank teller. She got straight A's. She was different. But there's some background. The parents that adopted my sister, my little sister and I, they favored her. They paid for her college. They let her use Dad's brand new car, which she wrecked and rolled 3 times. I didn't even do that with the $700 74 AMC Matador I got. I never tore that car up at all. They didn't pay for my college. They gave her every reason to succeed. They didn't do that with my sister and I. Being compared to a sister when there was an age difference, when we were just not even the same bloodline. And that sister was mean when Mom wasn't around. Very mean. She used to tease us, torment us. I remember she had a boyfriend when she was in high school. And every time that boyfriend would come over, he'd call me Pansy. And I hated it. And my parents were never around to nip that stuff. And nor would they have. I was a sensitive guy. Things did bother me. And instead of my mother getting down and trying to get to know me and know the fact that I've got a different child on my hands, I was compared with the neighborhood kids, compared with everybody. I learned very early on, I'm definitely different because I've been told so. And Americans are cruel. You get stuck with the stigma of having thick glasses, and it's all over from there. And it's sad. It's one of those things that you can't educate a bunch of fools in this country that's just mean and wrong. That a 32-year-old school teacher who thinks she's all that in a bag of chips could be comatose in a wheelchair, and even her best and bestest of friends would desert her in a moment. That any one of us could have something happen to us, and then we'll see how hot you are then. You could be struck with blindness, paralysis, Ebola. And I have come to the conclusion that good-looking women in this culture, they are unteachable, they are unkind, and they're playing the one string they have, and it's their looks. And unfortunately, Pacific's going to have to be patient, because when they hit their 60s and 70s, no one's going to be interested in them anymore. The viewer wrote me about Pamela Anderson. All I ever wanted was love. Well, gee, you sure didn't give it, did you, Toots? You thought you were hot stuff, shaking those things in everybody's face, walking right over the nice guys. And when you use the people and the world around you, you'll find out you've been used too. The thing I encouraged Maharani with, and I would encourage my viewers with, is those of you especially that are Christians, be glad you weren't popular and hot looking. Because if you were, you probably wouldn't have come to God. Maharani says, I've tried to have serious discussions on politics, theology, deeper issues, and can't even have them with my own family, or people at church, or people at university. I say, because you're living in a shallow world. You're living in a shallow world, and so am I. I said, if you were hot looking and you were born in this country, you would have never taken notice of me. If you were hot looking in what they define as hot looking, because to me, she's very, very attractive. You might not have given your life over to Christ. It's funny, but I do analyze things to the death, and that's a good thing. Pastor said yesterday, do you notice people don't even think anymore? They don't want to ponder. They don't want to think deeper. They got too many obligations. Facebook, this, that. People are flighty today. People are like, I've even noticed a direct rudeness that's taking place. I see it with the people I work with. Something has happened. You start to talk about something for more than 60 seconds, they'll cut you off and they're on to something else. The attention span collectively, because of the internet and the media world that we live in, has turned people into soundbite people, and that's all they want. It's funny, I get a lot of people complaining about my long videos, and I tried to tailor things to avoid that, and I said, no. Let me tell you, if a guy's interested in a girl, he'll take the time to do whatever it takes to get her. If a person's interested in what I have to say, they're not going to care how long or how short it is. If a person's not interested in what I have to say, 60 seconds is too much for them. Most women in our culture, especially your good-looking ones, the ones that think they got life by the tail, they're not interested in being told they're wrong. They're not interested in truth. They're not interested in objective critique of themselves or their viewpoints. Our culture doesn't lend itself to that. Most people operate on a fortress mentality in our culture. They stand behind their little wall and they throw stuff over the parapets down on the crowd below. This emailing, this I've got pictures, but I have no voice. I have no physical proof that this woman is who she says she is. Throwing barbs, hiding behind a castle wall and shooting hot arrows with burning tar at the tips of them. That's what trolls do. I don't even need to waste airspace in saying that that is definitely not Christ-like. First of all, to my viewers, I'm not a pedophile, and people that know me know that. If I were, I wouldn't have the job I had. That would be over. I'd be a sex offender registered, and I wouldn't even have a channel, because if I did something like that, I'd be too embarrassed to get on here. No. It's amazing somebody claiming to be a Christian could lie, slander, be so mean and so uncouth, and never once look at herself. So I'm asking her, because she'll watch this video, give me the name of your church, location, and service time, and I'll show up. No camera, but I will talk about the church, you bet. Find out if it's good or bad. Do you have the guts to do that? I doubt it. When I was a kid, we had a saying that if you hit somebody behind their back, it means you're a coward. These trolls are cowards. They'll never, to my face, stand up without yelling or acting insecure, have an intelligent conversation with me and say, here's why I disagree with you. They won't even meet me, for crying out loud. They won't do it. I've had people from around the world that have offered me hospitality to stay with them. The ones that like me. And these trolls, for all their tough talk, profanity, they won't meet me face to face. I have a good idea what most of these trolls look like. We're not even going to cover that ground. But they've suffered rejection issues too. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Instead of coming out, making videos, talking about the hurts and stuff they've been through and being transparent, they're getting revenge. It's called Trolls Revenge. I was put down, I was laughed at, I was beat up on the playground, so I'm going to sit here and just punk on everybody because it's fun. That's chicken. That's coward. There's times I've second-guessed myself. Man, should you really be doing this? There's times I thought, no, I should pull that video. And I said, no, leave it. open record. One of the ballot issues I voted on my mail-in ballot yesterday. I'm going to tell people, you better vote in this election. I'm going to tell every one of my viewers, vote out every Democrat in office. Vote out every woman in judgeship. Vote out every female in position of power. Do it. Sorry, I'm speaking from a Christian perspective. We don't need women in the courts. Unfortunately, because of the times we live in, I'm going to vote in a conservative woman over a liberal guy any day, if that's the only candidate I have. So I did vote for some women last night. I have no choice because they're conservative. We're living in bad times. But I'm telling all my viewers, vote out every Democrat everywhere at every level. Get them out. They are single-handedly wrecking the country. And I'm not favoring the Republicans, but darn it, I'm watching what Obama's done, and I'm telling you, many of these candidates, I read where they voted on issues. There was a booklet that our church got their hands on that I read last night, and it showed where they voted on school issues and stuff like that. And these Republicans are all opposed Roe v. Wade. We need to get behind that. They oppose, or they support repealing Obamacare. We need those people back in office. We can get Obamacare out. All the Congress has to do in the House and Senate is vote and say, you know what? We're getting rid of this. We'll defund it. We'll shut her down. It's a small thing, but at least it's a part. I don't want to hear any of my viewers say I don't vote anymore. My opinion, unacceptable. To not vote is a yes vote to the evil. Yeah, but we're picking the lesser two evils specific. I understand that. I understand that. But to sit by and let the liberals and the Democrats continue to take over, I'm telling you, it's going to affect your pocketbook more and more and more. You'd better stand up and say no to it. You have to. It's your civic duty. It's your American right. People in other countries die just to be able to cast a ballot. Can we not do this? No, I'm not anti-American. I'm getting tired of the people that are anti-American, that are in office, anti-constitutional, anti-God. This country was built on a Judeo-Christian ethic. I'm sorry to say that, but it was. If anybody wants to deny that, they only need to read the history. The founding fathers had their faults, and they did never claim to be perfect, but they did interweave a Judeo-Christian ethic into this society. Our laws were based on the commandments. And it's those same laws that protect even the scofflaws in this country that want to change and make it legitimate to do things that God says is not legitimate. I will issue a challenge. I'm willing to meet somebody who can't stand me, provided they're not a physical danger to me. Are they willing to meet me? Gypsy, I'm going to tell you something. I'm tired of your stuff. It is hurtful, and it is wrong. Give me the name of your church, if you have the guts, and let me go there. Let me see what kind of a church you go to. You don't have to worry about me making a scene, because I'm not gonna. But I want to know if you have the guts. Don't write me your laugh out loud, immature girl stuff. I want to see in the heading the name, address, and service time of your church. I want to see if you have the guts to come up and sit by me in the service and be a so-called Christian woman. I want to see if you can do that. And when the service is over, we can shake hands and I'll say thank you, and I'll leave, unless you want to talk further. Let's see if you can do that. Safe setting, public place. And no, don't sick your pastor and your ragtag bunch of friends on me. Because that's not right. I'll come alone, you come alone. you won't do it. You want a public place? Forget the police station. Let's meet in your church. You don't have to worry about me making a scene. I've never made a public scene. That's embarrassing. I'll sit there. I'll listen to the message. I'll sing the songs. Let's see if you can do it. Let's see if you have the guts. Let's see what you're made of. You want to get on ground? Let's get on God's ground. Because I'm going to ask you, because if you can't do that, then you need to shut up and go away. If you can do that, let's see how that goes. Let's see how that goes, and let's see if we can move on. Let's see. I'm created. I have been allowed to be born. And I'm going to say something bold. Technically, I'm a bastard. I was born by a mother who was not married. She divorced her husband, fooled around with an old boyfriend, had me, according to the adoption letter that was sent by the adoption agency to my folks that I have a copy of. And I need to pull that out and read that to my viewers. It would just be interesting for some background on my folks. It sounds like in the letter that mother never told the boyfriend that she got pregnant with me. She never saw him again. And if we go back to the Old Testament, a bastard was an illegitimate born child, not a married family, woman that got pregnant. Bastards historically have been looked down on. They have been the scorn. It's interesting that God adopted me into his family, made me a child of God. And I will admit, and I'll be the first one to serve the volley and say, I've been guilty of putting people down because I've been put down all my life. I've tried to allow for lateral movement, that people are different than me, that people don't look like me, don't think like me, and I've been okay with that, except that it's all of them that have put me down and made me feel an acute awareness that there's a stigma against me. If a child lives with criticism, he will learn to criticize. The difference is, I hope that when I criticize, that it's more of a critique that's accurate, and that's what I've tried to do in my videos. I'm just not interested in standing here being critical, though some people may see it that way. I'm interested in observing and commenting accordingly. In a society that lives off fluff and puff and shallowness, they're not going to like this kind of a forum. But these so-called good-looking women and these so-called got-it-together people, they're not reaching out to me at all. They're not going to. They're comfortable in their comfortable little clique, and they like to fire their darts from their castle walls and say, oh, what a retard, what a loser, what a jerk, ha ha ha. And then run to church on Sunday morning and think they're tight with God. Pastor was talking about reaching out to people, and they're making a big emphasis in a couple weeks. We have Friends Sunday, and I always laugh at that. It's like, I'd have a hard time bringing anybody to our church because there is an air there that's not comfortable. And as far as Pacific being all the things I've been accused of by Gypsy and others, most people in our culture would go to a church like I go to, go, I'm out of here. The reason I go is because I can look through all the crap and get truth. And I look at the people and I go, these people are a bunch of phony balonies. But that's not going to stop me from going and eating at the buffet the nutrients that I need to get. Who's the stronger person? The one who faces all that crap and holds his head high, or the one that runs? I'm not going to go to church anymore. I'm done with that. I'm going. I tithe. I do what I do, not because I'm perfect, not to play a game, but because I want that grounding of truth fed into my life. Excuse me. I want to be grounded. I have enough theology to be dangerous. But back to the 2008. When we are so rigid, and when we try so hard to dot our I's and cross our T's, a couple things happen. One is we become very self-righteous and judgmental of everybody around us. That when somebody sins, we go, oh. Somebody doesn't go to Wednesday night service, we tell them they're backslidden. I've heard all that. We become fake, and then we walk a tightrope that will invariably cause us to trip and fall with no safety net below. We set ourselves up to be overtaken by the enemy. Christianity is about being sincere, transparent, open, and vulnerable. Not drawbridge up. Drawbridge up is insecurity. Drawbridge down is saying, yes, I'm insecure, but I'm going to leave this open. I want to be approachable by the people. Yes, you have a guard to the door of your heart. You don't just let everybody in to trash your heart. Halt, who goes there? I'm a troll. Go, get out. I went crazy on the physical aspects and the sensual aspects because it was only a matter of time before it happened. Most churches in America are morgues. Most white culture in females is a morgue. If you're into materialism, SUVs, and you want to be a flaky man who has trite, shallow, frosted flake conversation, you'll fit right in. If you're deeper, if you're more introspective, if you live inside your head more, if you analyze stuff, if you stop and try to, what does it say? The late, great Rick Ferguson at Riverside Baptist said, we need to learn to be critical thinkers, and I agree. And ironically, everybody loved him. He was very open about false teachings, and he said, this stuff is wrong. In fact, he was so loved, he was loved to a fault. They put him on a pedestal. When he died in the car crash in Kansas some years ago, I was shocked. Over half the church of Riverside got up and left. Why? Because they were following an icon, not God. His preaching was some of the best I've heard in my entire existence. He did a series called Devolution. He wrote a book called The Servant Principle. Outstanding. Our society is not servant-based at all. Everybody wants to be served, but nobody wants to serve. And I'm trying to get myself out of that myself and say, you know what? Stopping behind that black woman's bus that I despise when she broke down, that's the right thing to do. And whether I have feelings for or not is irrelevant. We work for the same school district. And even I can put aside my stuff. If we were out there in a blizzard and she broke down and I had to transfer her and all her students on my bus in a raging blizzard, okay, that's the way it is. You can't just leave her on the side of the road, no matter how offensive and ghetto and rude she is. Sometimes, though I wonder in this culture, that act alone may cause them to break inside and go, wow, I've been a jerk to this guy and he saved my butt. That's right, honey. As much as I can't stand you, I will try to do the right thing when push comes to shove. No guarantees. People would rather hate than love. I see that with Gypsy. I see that with a plethora of people. I ask myself all the time, am I goofy looking? I will tell you, I hate wearing these things. I've tried all different hairstyles. I've had it short. I've had it all different. People still say the same hurtful comments. So I finally learned, pick what you want in your hair. Pick the necklaces you want, wear the clothes you want, and screw it. Be yourself. The other thing I tell myself is because of my sin and follies, I've had many women say, you really are a handsome, good-shaped guy. And what I need to do is reflect on those that were kind to me and listen to them, because it's easy. Somebody say, well, you're not being objective. You're just accepting what they say because they're nice. Yeah, but they were beautiful women too. And they did like me, and they saw the qualities in me, like Maharani does, like other of my viewers do. to sit there and be accused that I drive people away from Christianity? No, I don't. If I drive anybody away from Christianity, that's news to me. What I find is that in the Bible it says to the one were the aroma of death, to the other were the fragrance of life. And that is reality. You're going to go into areas of your life, Christian, where you'll be somewhere and nobody in that workplace likes you at all. And you go, gosh, what is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. It's them. They love their darkness so much that just your mere presence sets them off. Do we need to be reminded again we're in a spiritual battle, not a physical? And when we have immature Christians running around in the church, they can heap abuse and attacks on us too. So, words do hurt. I just read that in the devotion today. The other day I pulled up at a high school. There was a driver in front of me, a black woman, and I went over to say hi to her. She's from the other terminal. While I was standing on the step over bus talking, there was a black man with a cowboy hat on, leaning against a vehicle. She had parked in front of the back of the high school. We had a whole bunch of buses for athletics, early out routes and stuff, so it was an higher than normal rate of bus traffic and chaos in there. She pulled her bus in the only spot she could. There's a loading dock. Well, no truck needed to get in. Somebody's little Chevy Blazer was parked in there. And all the time I'm talking to her, I'm thinking, why is this guy just glaring, the steely-eyed glare at us? And I didn't say anything, but I noticed it. He finally, after 5 minutes of this, he walks up and says, "Excuse me." And he talks to her. "I need you to move this bus. You're blocking a driveway." And I'm like, uh-oh. Well, she got mad. He got mad. She got very angry, in fact. She said, "Can you see? I can't move up. I can't move back." My bus was right behind her. I wasn't blocking the driveway. I try to avoid doing that. And they were going at each other like two cats. And I said, "Sir," and I just kept calmly, "Sir," I said, "if you want, I'll move my bus so that she can get out." And the fur kept flying, and I said, "Sir, if you want, I'll move my bus so she can get out." And he finally heard me. He says, "Thank you. I would appreciate that." I said, Could you walk to the back of my bus? Because I said, there's a crosswalk and there's students all over, and I need you to make sure nobody's in the way. I need you to spot check me. And I thought about that verse in the Bible, "Soft answer turns away wrath." When you ramp up, when they ramp up, you might as well plan on digging your trench because you're in the battle then. I've done it. There are times when I've seen a volatile situation, I said, the first thing that I think of is how can I alleviate some of the stress and be kind. I'm going to tell my viewers something. It does work. Well, as he went to the back of my bus, another bus pulled in right behind me, and he says, "You know what, thanks for offering, but another bus just pulled up, and I guess, we're just stuck the way it is." And I said, okay, I wanted to try to help. It gets ugly out there. It gets ugly. It's not easy to deal with the public. It's not easy to deal with anybody today. And when things fly like that, I have to tell myself, I've had mothers come to my bus door screaming and yelling about the time that they set for the bus stop for their daughter to be picked up. 6:09 in the morning, it is too dark out here. Why does she got to be picked up so early? I said, "Ma'am, your daughter goes to a non-neighborhood school, and the bus routes are set up because we allow students and parents to choose the school they want to go to." I said, if we run a route to go into that school, we're not going to go through the neighborhood and pick up 10 stops within a square mile. We're going to go from northwest Denver to southwest Denver to east Denver to get to all those kids that want to go to this special school over here. And I've had some hot tempers out there, and I very politely said, tell her my name. I said, here's my supervisor's card. If you have any questions about this, the number's on it. Go ahead and give her a call. I'm not the one that sets up the bus stop time. I just run the route. And I said, she can help you with this, and maybe you guys come up with an alternative. Women, more than men, are more likely to just hit the flashpoint so fast, and they will just, without thinking, will just take it out on the first person they see connected with transportation. And I just shake my head and go, I'm not the one who sets up the damn route. That's routing. But I don't rise up to them. I keep my voice calm. I say, I understand your frustration. I said, it's the way they set up the route. Here's a card if you want to call my supervisor and talk and see if you can find any resolution to this. The only thing I can tell you is it's kind of hard, because when you have non-neighborhood schools, the routes are going to be run earlier to accommodate getting those kids throughout the metro. Yeah, gone are the days of when I lived in Duluth and I did a Lakeside Elementary School. Well, they were little kids. So I was basically in about a 1.5 mile square area of the school. Well, we got 20 minutes of bus route. Now we got a route that lasts an hour, because we pick up a kid over here and then we go across the metro and get a kid here and across the metro and get transportation has changed because people have choices now. When I was a kid, you went to the neighborhood school and that was the way it was. A lot of people don't want to go to the neighborhood school. They own a nice house, but that house is surrounded by ghetto, and a lot of the kids of lower income are going to go to that school. And a lot of people don't want to put their kids in it. There's racial and ethnic reasons. There's financial reasons. There's quality of education in that specific school reasons. There's a host of reasons why people will take their kids and put them in another school building. But the bottom line is, there's a lot of anger out there. I see it all day long. I see it in the way people drive. I see it in the way people respond. I see it with all the trolls. I see it with a lesbian mayor trying to impose her brand of Nazistic Hitlerism on Houston, and tell churches that they can't talk about homosexuality in an unfavorable light anymore. Excuse me, you don't have the right, lady, to step over the Constitution, and you need to be checkmated. Good grief. I told somebody at work, I can deal with a piece of machinery. The other day when we went to the farm, there was a Mexican guy driving this big Alice Chalmers red tractor, huge tractor, and pulling this 40-foot long wagon with high sides and bales of hay that we all sit on. And he just shifts it into gear and driving, and I thought, shoot, I would love to do that. Just drive around a tractor all day. I climbed up in a big combine and had air conditioning, surround sound stereo, and I'm thinking, you know what? I really should look at getting into this. You don't have to deal with people. You just deal with cornfields. Put those big claws down and shucks and grabs the corn. I would love that. I love machinery. People are tough. That's the rub with any of us. Dealing with people is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. And especially when people reject truth, when they reject God, when people are haters, and we're all thrust together in this American society with all kinds of ethnicity, cultural issues, diversity issues, sexual preference issues, spiritual hair-splitting theological issues, musical issues, interest issues, and you throw all that into a mix to make it through a day without losing your cool at somebody is becoming nothing short of miraculous. Yeah. No, Pacific's not a chemo. I do not need to be ashamed that I've had interest in younger ladies. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a societal, cultural stigma, not a biblical one. I find it interesting that when I was in the Philippines and in Hong Kong that many 20-year-old girls were interested in me. And people say, well, yeah, they want a visa. No, a lot of them did not. And I asked them, I said, but I'm so much older. And this was their response. Most of the Filipinos we know drink, screw around, and they're not mature. A lot of them aren't hardworking. Filipinos are a lot more open than we are about things. They don't have a lot of the social taboos and hang-ups we do on the one hand. And I think it's a shame that a lot of older men get vilified. And there are some bad older men that can't get a date here because they're jerks. And they go get some young lady over there and are rude to her too. But I've heard a lot of derogatory comments made towards the white or gray-haired balding men that go get an Asian lady. And I said, what do you expect? Do you think that they should be punished because they're older and they don't look as good as you think they ought to, and they're going to go find love somewhere else? I think you're just flat evil for even saying the things you say. But to follow the true definition of chimo, it says to have interest in younger women. And it didn't state how young. It didn't state whether they were illegal minors. But a 32-year-old being interested in a 48-year-old, even in this culture, many women go, oh my gosh, that's too much of a difference. To me, I don't care about that. But if Gypsy cares, why did she write me to begin with? She saw my age right in the profile. Let's do church, Gypsy. The ball's in your court. But I'm sure I'll just get a rash of more smart aleck comments. I'd almost bet on it. Pacific is different than you, Gypsy. I'd meet you face to face. I'd be no danger to you, but you won't do it. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. Oh, I have my fears and I have my insecurities, but I meet problems face to face. I don't sit behind my little castle with my drawbridge up throwing hot tar ignited darts at people. That's not the way Pacific operates. I talk about a culture and I talk about what's wrong with a culture, whether it's a church culture, an ethnic culture, an American culture, a Chinese culture, and I have the right to do that. And if any troll wants to sit here and criticize me for that, why do you keep getting on my channel and criticizing that? Go away. Don't listen to me. Trolls like doing what they do. There are some people, they don't even listen to the content of what I said. The minute a video comes out, it hasn't been up 60 seconds and I get a thumbs down. And all my viewers are figuring that out. They've called me and said, did you see your video hasn't even been out 5 minutes? It's 3 hours long. And you know they didn't listen to it and you got all these thumbs down. I said, because some people have me in their contacts or their subscription base. And it tells them every time I release a new video. And they make it a point to thumbs down it. Now, how childish is that? I don't thumbs down anything until I hear it. And most of the time, I don't even thumbs down. I just go, this is dumb. We're winning the war on trolls because I'm more confident now. But yes, to have my looks attacked, that hurts. I look in the mirror and I struggle with this because I have had to look at myself over the years and go, am I really ugly? And I've had to say, no, I'm not. I've seen people that are not handsome and not pretty, and I feel for them. Every one of pictures of Gypsy were blurry. Never got a real clear look at her face. Dressed inappropriate. And I still thought she was attractive. My looks have been criticized. My psychology has been criticized. Everything about me has been criticized by her. And a lot of American women are like that. They're just mean. And they live off of that. I think it's interesting that I continue to stand. And somebody who was making lots of videos finally stopped and deleted them all. Interesting. I wonder what made him do that. I don't frankly care. But maybe he woke up and said he's going nowhere with this. I saw a video called Talmud Study Hour with Pacific. I thought, I didn't have Talmud Study Hour with anybody. Why is he saying he had it with Pacific? He's even gone away now. Or on to other things. I did get rattled in the beginning by this, and then I realized, you're playing into their hands. And people say, well, you're playing into Gypsy's. No, I'm not playing into hers. I'm not trying to play anything. I'm trying to pull her out and say, if you're really a Christian woman, and you're really so special, prove it to me. Show up. Let's go to church together. Your church, your service time. You, me, alone, not your support group and all your vicious little friends are going to, sick on me. Let's see if you can do that. She won't. Women that are texting and doing this online thing are very comfortable with it because it empowers them to hide and to be bold and rude. Women don't want relationships anymore. They want drama. And the internet has given them a perfect platform to do it. Gypsy would never have the guts to make a video and show her face. Never! So that makes me feel good, number one. Number two, I talk about all kinds of issues, not just the issues of her. But names hurt. I've had people write me personal emails telling me how they've been deeply wounded by the culture we live in. Men confessing that they had an abusive mother, an atrocious, self-serving, narcissistic ex-wife. At first, this stuff would get me so down, I go, maybe I ought to just quit doing the channel. Until I stopped and pondered it deeper and said, you're getting to them. That's why they're getting so mad. Don't you dare stop, or they win. And there's something in my fighting Irishness that says I'm not going to stop until God says, okay, you're done. I look at all the letters I've gotten, people saying they've been inspired by this, felt hopeful through this, felt like they could face life a little stronger listening to this because they thought they were all alone in their struggles. No. What is Christianity? Christianity is a relationship with Jesus Christ. But fleshing that out is trying to talk about issues to bring encouragement to people and to get people to take a look around them. Christianity is not about shopping malls and flaky shallowness, which most Christians seem to exhibit more of that than true spirituality. I think it's time for me to eat breakfast. I'm so glad I have a day off. It was nice to sleep until 4:07 a.m. Woohoo! So, let's see if somebody can step up to the plate and be brave. I doubt it, though. I seriously, seriously doubt it. There will be excuses. But I'm just letting you and my viewers know I'm doing everything I can to make this happen. We'll see. This is Pacific signing off. Bye-bye.